All right, we're back, the VIBE Edu crew. I've got Kim Gameroz, TJ Vari, Mitch Weathers, and myself, Joshua Stamper, for another summer series. If you are new to the show for the summer, we're making these condensed to about 15 minutes versus our long conversations that we typically do during the school year. So we're going to try and keep it to about 15 minutes. If you missed the first episode, this topic right now for the 4 episodes is on creating your school reputation. The first episode was on controlling our narrative as a school or district. Today, we're going to be talking about social media presence, which I know every educator has probably seen. Every parent has been on Facebook or any other social media and seen some of the negative things that probably are being discussed in those areas. So where do we want to start the conversation today on social media presence regarding our school's reputation?
I do. Because I wrote down notes last time and I have to continue this conversation. So for everybody listening, I'm hoping that you press pause right now if you haven't listened to that first episode, because I mean, what recently has happened, and I've told you guys about this, I've had over 1.7 million sets of eyeballs over on my social media account, Kim Gameroz. 1.7 million sets of eyeballs. It is wild to think about. And the amount of new people, educators, leaders, parents, who knows who they are, people have come into my world. And the post that went completely viral, it was really scary to control the narrative when it started to become very negative. And waking up every single morning and seeing comment after comment after comment after comment of like, yeah, some positive things, but like the negative ones that were in there too, I knew that I needed to start controlling what was being said, but I didn't, as a party of one, really know how to do that. And what I did was I turned to my community. And so I said to all of them, I was like, listen, the herd needs to start running into the storm together. And we are going to flood this, chain of comments with positivity. And they did. And then they were commenting to each other. And I could go in there also. But it didn't all of a sudden, it wasn't like a Kim Gameroz sort of attack. It was just like, we the people, we the educators who've been doing this work, let us really tell you what it's all about. And so, I mean, this literally just happened just a couple weeks ago. And I think that as you are a school or a district and you're posting things out there and you have the people, whoever they are, coming in and, giving their 2 cents and their comments, this is a way to still control that narrative. Have your teachers go out and put comments in there. Have the community members, have your PTA, have all of those people who know the positive, have that speak volumes and flood that comment section. So I just really wanted to say that because I know we're talking about social media and presence and everything, but I also really wanted to continue that conversation about controlling the narrative, especially on social media. I love you guys.
I was going to wait, but now I'm going to say something because Kim, I think that's a good analogy for schools because I think a lot of times what we do is we post something online or we do a newsletter or fill out the communication form. And then we start to realize, the narrative is already defined for us. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's in the background that we're not even noticing. Maybe it's in these forums or maybe it's just people talking in the neighborhoods, fill in the blank as to how the communications are occurring. And then we start to get this firestorm of, oh, snap, like we actually are behind the 8 ball now because this has been going on for a while. We weren't aware of it. Right. But what we did was we let the power be taken by someone else. Totally. We let the narrative be constructed by the folks that aren't even in the building and know what's truly going on. And so what I would say is it doesn't matter your role in education. You need to make sure that you're defining the story before others define it for you. And so that starts on day one, right? We're about to get into a school year. What are you doing to show the win that's occurring every single day? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of ways to do that, but I think social media is a great platform, especially if you know where your community lives, right? So for instance, we did a survey at the beginning of the school year with our parents, specifically asking, like, if we were just to disseminate information, where would you like that? It was amazing to find out that Facebook, it was the place they wanted it, right? So we built a Facebook page for our school, and we had people set up to share wins, and that was in videos, it was in posts, it was with photos, all kinds of things that we were trying to show our win. So that way people understood truly what was happening in the classroom that they weren't privy to. And so if there's a gap, it's just nature. Like, we just fill that in with a negative, unfortunately. And so if we allow that space to be open for them to fill in the blank, then we shouldn't be surprised that it's defined in a different way than what's actually happening. So we need to take power in that.
I was thinking about like staying in front of it too, like not waiting. Like I waited until all of a sudden there was the negativity. And then I was like, now what do I do? But I think starting the school year off, just like what you're saying, with a plan in place, I was just thinking, I mean, if I was leading a school, I would say, okay, what are the field trips that we have planned out? And that grade level lead is going to be in charge of creating a little reel or carousel or take the pictures or whatever, and they're going to send it to our social media person or platform person, whatever that is, Facebook thing. And they're going to post those things throughout the school year. Just already having that set in place instead of like, oh, wait, hold on. You guys are going, first grade is going on that field trip. Well, you did it. Then it feels like something extra that you have to do. And then now as a first grade teacher, I'm like, oh gosh, now I got to create this reel. When if it was just part of the plan, right? At the very beginning of the school year, this is what we're going to do. And we're all in this together. Then it feels like a community sort of a thing instead of like a have to, right? Like a get to, you get to be part of this.
I think that consistency is critical. Go ahead, Mitch.
No, go ahead, TJ. I'll follow it.
I was just going to say the plan, the consistency, the platform, all that stuff needs to be strategic. Like, what you're trying to do with that narrative and social media is to build the brand and build the story of your classroom or your teaching strategies. It could be teacher to teacher, teacher for parents, but the consistency of who I am on this platform, I'm serving my parents or I'm serving my fellow teachers, having that understanding of the brand, and then doing a consistently, I should say, like, I'm going to post something once a day, or I'm going to post when we're on field trips, or I'm going to post once a week. That way the audience knows what they can expect from you, and that's how you build that following, and that's part of controlling the narrative. But I love seeing, not just because I like seeing students learn, but I love seeing what teachers are choosing to do in their classroom on social media, and the cool things that you can share about classroom instruction that provides both inspiration and aspiration. So those of you on the socials doing that, keep it up. Instagram, Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn more than anything, and a lot more there, I think, on school leadership for my audience anyway. But I think any platform that you stay consistent with is the right choice in terms of that brand building, that storytelling, and that excitement that we can build if we do it right. Mm-hmm. And as always, follow your acceptable use policy. Don't.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is
he's talking to you, Mitch?
Yeah, sure. I feel like these conversations I agree with everything that's being said, but they feel secondary to a primary decision that the school has to make or the district has to make. Do you have to be on social media at all to stay connected with your parents? And I think it has to be a way that, like, who are you trying to influence? And if it is the parent community, the families you're serving, the greater community as well, like, we're part of this community. We're not just a set of buildings over here. Is there a way that is, to Josh's point of surveying, making it as easy as possible to control the narrative, but for families to partake, to be involved, and maybe that's social, but I think the the propensity without intentional conversations and decisions are we need to be on social. And I always think, well, no, you don't. No, you don't. I mean, I think a lot of people in the business space, they mistake work for being online, being on social.
Mhm.
Talk to anybody, and over and over and over, they're like, oh my gosh, my business is growing so much because I stopped posting.
Mhm.
And it's counterintuitive because you think like, well, I need to post. So I'm not saying do or don't. I think it's just worth collectively saying, what are our values? What do we see? What is this? You know, we're serving elementary age kids, and we're using social media as a vehicle, which we know social media for elementary age kids is probably not the best idea. So I think there's a different conversation that should be primary. And then once we have collectively, oh yeah, this is the vehicle, go all in with everything you were all saying, like be consistent, of course, follow your policies, but you see it. I don't know if you feel this way. I follow a few principals who I dearly respect who are trying to have an online presence for the school. And it feels very much like feel like they're supposed to.
Hmm.
And it sometimes feels void of intentionality.
Mm.
Well, but it's
Do you feel like it's
well-intentioned.
performative?
Yeah, just like something else I need to do now. I
Right.
have all this I need to do, and so now I'm posting these things. I don't know.
It's kind of the teacher's point of cutting the cake. I mean, if it doesn't have value, if it's not going to move, to our point, the school reputation or the narrative that we want, then why are you doing it, right? If I'm posting on X every single day and none of my families are on that platform looking at it, then that's wasted energy and time. Then that's not right. To your point, Mitch, if you can find out where your community is, and so for instance, in that survey, we had newsletters going out in email all the time. But guess what? Nobody was opening it and nobody was looking at that information. So that's why we did the survey. It was like, where is our community? Where's our parents? And that's when we found out that of all places, not that I really wanted to be in that space, but it was Facebook. And so that's why we built what we built, was because that was like, if it's on there, we'll see it. And so same thing with like another platform. I know and this is a little bit different, but for instead of doing staff meetings, we're trying to find out a way to communicate to our staff. Well, I could put a newsletter together or an email and send that out, but instead we did a YouTube video and then posted on YouTube. It was private, but we sent out the link for our staff. Our staff abundantly said, "This is so much better. Can we keep doing it?" But we wouldn't have known that information unless we tried it, put it on the platform, sent it out, and then got their feedback. So there might be some experimentation that is needed also to figure out where they want the information. And then once that's established, then you can build the systems necessary to make sure that it is consistent and something that's going to happen on a regular basis. And then real quick, I want to just touch on what TJ talked about as far as the things that you are posting. They don't have to be big, right?
Yeah.
I know that Kim was talking about like field trips and sometimes, oh, we won the big game or whatever it may be that we want to, celebrate. But it doesn't have to be that. It could be small little wins that are happening in the classroom, or something that, it's an activity that one of our awesome teachers is doing that would be super cool for our parents to see and understand what's going on in the building. And it could just be like these little moments that our community just gets a little viewpoint on that they wouldn't typically have. And I think just that, it gives them an idea of what like real life in a school is, because our parents are going back to when they were in school. And as we know, the education system and what occurs in the classroom is far different now than it was in the 80s or the 90s or 2000s. I know we're getting a little bit older here, so I don't want to take anyone out, but just as far as like just giving them just a little glimpse of what happens during the school day.
But that's all the intention out. Everything you just said is with intention and not just willy-nilly posting. And I think you also, reading between the lines there, Josh, but you surveyed, where are you? Because we want to be in contact. Oh, you're on Facebook. So we created this private Facebook group. And the private word is really important in light of what happened with Kim's post that went viral, because I worry about one principal in particular, she's posting on Instagram. Well, it's not a private group. And if that would be tragic if I had a teacher friend this happened to, really good English teacher, high school in Hayward, California, years ago. I knew was an organized binder school at the time, and he was a gifted writer and would he kind of a provocative educational blog, really, really good stuff. And when the Warriors became who they are now, because they were so bad for so long. Well, he was born and raised in the Bay, and he wrote this piece that was titled "Steph Curry, Please Don't Come to My School," or something like that. And it was really well written about, like, even though my students identify with you, this is their lived experience. He went into everything, even just like, yeah, you're short for the NBA, but you're taller than most human beings. I mean, this is very well written piece, and not anti. And Kim, he woke up the next day to like vitriol. I mean, he could not control the narrative. And I think if that happened to a school leader, so I think that's just something to be said too, like where you're bringing people together on social, there's some consideration there.
Last thing I wanted to say was, I like how you said, where do you want to see all of this stuff, right? Where? And I think also, what content do you want to see? Because I think I've realized too, in a private Facebook group, I consistently show up on a Monday and I give them the content that they want. It's like behind the scenes, right? Like I'm going to be in Orlando soon, and it's going to be me walking through the airport, talking to them about what's going on, right? Giving them an update. They like pictures of me and my community teachers and how we went on Zoom, and they all start kind of, talking in the comments. That's what they like over there, which is different than Instagram. Instagram, they want to see like a little bit behind the scenes that they want to be taught. They want like the things they can take and do in their classrooms tomorrow. So I think, again, just like how we ask them, where do you want to see this content, whatever it is, great, figure that out first. And then also, what type of content do you want to see? Do you want to see behind the scenes? Do you want to see field trips or not? Like, is that content that we should be posting? And asking your community, I think that is part of it too.
Yeah, well said. I think that's a good way to wrap this up, as we're doing a series now, as we talked about, school reputations. So the next one that we'll be talking about is supporting each other, which is important in regards to the reputation. And can't wait for that conversation. Just so you know, check your calendars, because VIBE Edu event is coming up very, very soon. I just want to let you know that within this 4-part series, we are going to take a short break for one episode, as it's myself and Kim, as we're going to go through the logistics, because there's a lot of questions. And Kim, you could probably speak on this as something that's frequently asked. And I know they're emailing you, texting you. And so we're trying to get this information out so it's as easy and intimate as possible, where you get the two of us, where I get to be the narrator and person that's kind of really getting Kim to answer all the very important questions for this upcoming event. So Kim, do you want to speak on anything in regards to VIBE Edu before we close this down?
Yeah, it's just, that episode is everything. It's like what we said, what to know before you go. And you had giggled and said that's a very Kim Gameroz thing to say.
It's so Kim. So Kim.
It is. It is. But you'll love that. Very easy. It is all of your questions answered. And if we forgot something, just put it in the comments and we'll get right back to you for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So just a reminder, if you have questions, comments, if you want to reach out, all of our websites are in the show notes. But also, if you're on a platform like YouTube or Spotify, it allows you to put comments in that too. So if it's in regards to the VIBE Edu mailbag, if it's about the event, if it's a question specifically for the four of us, you can add it to that, or you can reach out via website. And we look forward to being a resource for you. Hope everyone's having a wonderful summer. And I hope everyone is clicking that VIBE Edu link, getting your tickets, because we want to see you there. Such a passionate community. And I think it's going to be an event that's really going to fill your cup for the beginning of the school year. So can't wait to see you next week. Hope you have a wonderful day.